Saturday was the first day of early voting on the Kansas side of the state line. And I've got so many messages from many of you, and now these text messages are rolling in as well, where many of you were waiting online to vote on Saturday during the first day of early voting. And many of you saying that you never experienced that in many cases on Election Day. Never mind early voting. So I'm looking at some of the texts here. I've got this, Pete, 45-minute wait at Hilltop at 1:30 on Saturday, 143rd Street between Antioch and Metcalf. That's just one of the texts here. Also, Pete, wife and I did early voting Saturday morning at New Century. We actually had to wait in line, which has never been that way in the past. Well, I'd like to think that's a very good sign. Now, there's no doubt Democrats have done a much better job early voting than Republicans. Republicans took this approach, which I admit I was part of as well, where it was like, voting day is one day, and I will show up, and I will get my sticker, and I will proudly vote on Election Day. Well, who cares? If the voting starts on October 19th, which it did on Saturday, then guess what? Go vote when you can. I didn't get out there on Saturday because, as many of you may know, when you have little kids, the weekends are actually busier than the weekdays. That's just how it goes. So we'll probably get over there this week to our early voting location. It's a couple minutes from the house. Go vote and just get it done. And I have never early voted in my life. But what you do is you save your preferred candidates money. You save them resources. They don't send you mailers and text messages, ideally, anymore. And I've gotten enough, and I know you've all gotten enough. And I will add this, too. The mailers that I've gotten actually say, go vote. Early voting starts October 19th. And that is messaging from Republicans and PACs supporting Republicans. There was one PAC, I think it was called the Keep Kansas Red PAC or something, I got over the weekend. And it said, go early vote, October 19th. I don't recall ever seeing that on a Republican mailer in my life. But I saw it over the weekend, and I received one over the weekend. So Republicans are wising up to how the game is being played. Instead of complaining about made-up things or things that don't have a lot concrete, especially here in Kansas, like voting machines, like, no, let's just play the game the way it's meant to be played. Let's just do that. And let's try to win within the rules of the game. That's what smart business people do. That's what smart athletes do. And that is what smart politicians do. Play the game the way it's intended to be played. So now Republicans are wisely waking up to the fact that early voting, yes, is a thing. And you've got to utilize it and you've got to get people out. And apparently Saturday was enormous in terms of the turnout. 913-408-7957. I want to get to you on the phones as well. Eric's in Overland Park. Eric, you're first up. Good morning.
Hey, good morning. Just started listening. Moved to Overland Park from Chicago, where they vote early and often.
And dead, right?
Yeah. They cruise the cemeteries. No, I was at Hilltop. My wife and I got there at 10:30. I thought that'd be early. It was out the door, very smooth. And what was interesting is I showed them my passport, and immediately, which I love, and I voted for Trump, they immediately flagged as, hey, you got an absentee ballot, which I was impressed by. And so they said, you're going to be provisional, and because they don't want me to vote twice. And I filled out the form, and the guy said, I can't watch it, but you got to seal it, put it in the red bag over there. And they said they'll tell me by November 18th if my vote was recorded. I guess they only collect the provisionals if it's close, but very impressed. It reminded me of waiting for tickets for the Stones in the 80s. It was out the door.
Well, Eric,
it was very, very, very professional, and they had the Hawks, the observers walking around. I thought it was very well done.
Well, it's a big, stark contrast coming from Illinois to see how it's done in Kansas. You are right about that. Well done. Welcome to the area, and I'm glad you found the show, my man.
All right, good luck. Have a good one.
You as well. Eric in Overland Park on KCMO. How about that? No, when I was living on the East Coast and voting in New Jersey, I would just walk in and tell them, yeah, I'm Pete Mundo, and they'd say, okay, sign your name here. No voter ID or anything like that. We've got darn good buttoned-up systems here in Kansas and Missouri. We do. Steve in KCK. Go ahead, Steve. Steve, you're on KCMO. What's up, buddy? Steve going once.
Can you hear me now, Steve?
Yeah, go ahead. Go ahead, Steve.
All right. So my mom was a Hispanic woman, old school Democrat, used to be in the Union a long time ago. Voted for RFK. She can't stand Donald Trump, but there's no way she could bring herself to vote for Kamala Harris. And apparently RFK is on the ballot in Kansas. So that's at least one vote he pulled away from Kamala Harris.
Okay. All right. Thank you for that, Steve. I know he's on a bunch of ballots still just because of deadlines and things like that. I didn't realize he was still on the ballot in Kansas, but there you go. Something new. RFK on the ballot. Make America healthy again. But remember, RFK has endorsed Donald Trump. Walter in Spring Hill, go ahead, buddy.
Hi, Pete. I went Saturday morning. That's the first time I've ever voted early. And I went Saturday morning. I live in Spring Hill. They usually do it at Community Center, but I had to go to Paola. So it's about a 10-mile drive. But I was there in like 10 minutes, and they asked for an ID, and they explained these are paper ballots. And I said, that's what they all should be. And no problem. Of course, I voted for Donald Trump and Persant because we need to get that, get her out. I don't want to mention her name. So, yeah, and it was very professional. They asked for my ID. I gave it to them. They asked me to state my name and address and everything. Boom, boom, boom.
Boom, boom, boom. There you go.
Boom, boom, boom.
Nice job. John and Gardner, go ahead, buddy. You got a minute. You're on KCMO.
Yes, sir. Good morning, Pete. I was there Saturday morning. Very healthy line. Everybody was really nice. In and out. It was fine. I'm remembering when Bush Sr. Ran against Bill Clinton. We were standing in line for into the evening, and we heard that Clinton had already won. So it's like, okay, what are we doing here? I mean, I just kind of finished the job anyway to make a statement. But I kind of like the early voting, I got to tell you.
Is this your first time doing it?
No. Oh, early voting? I usually would go after work.
So you would vote on Election Day after work?
Back in the day, I think you kind of had to, unless you mailed it in. I don't remember.
So is this your first time doing early voting, though?
Early voting, I'd usually go to the King Louis Bowling Center after work. No.
So this is not your first. Okay, yes or no question. All right, so it's not your first time doing it. All right, well, listen, It sounds to me, thank you, John, like there's a lot of people who have done it just based on some of the reaction on the phones and the text line, and I think that's a step in the right direction. Listen, if the game's going to be played that way, just play the game the way it's intended to be played. All right, you got 2 weeks to get people out to vote, so go do it.